Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Monday. It's Rose from the Painted Toad, and we are going to be painting a winter sign today. So let me, should have seen it when we started, but this is what we're painting. I'm going to teach you how to make this one. And I'm actually going to do, I picked blue letters this time because I always felt like the silver didn't quite show up. So we're going to try some blue sparkle letters. We're just going to whitewash this, and I'm going to use some craft paint on this, some folk art. This is just wicker white acrylic craft paint. I like the craft paint for doing this because it's a little bit thinner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit on here. And then I'm going to get a big fat brush. I think I'll use this one. It's a big fat one. You can use an even bigger one if you want. And I'm just going to dunk it in my water and just kind of get this really wet. I mean, it's already pretty thin as it is. But I'm just thinning it out a little bit more. So, nope, still needs to be thinner. See how thick that came on? I want it to be super duper thin. We want like a wash on here. We want it to spread almost like a really thin, I guess, watercolor, I guess we could say. We want this super, super watery. And then what I do, once I get a little bit on there, is I just take a paper towel and just kind of wipe it like that. The other thing you could do, like if you don't want to use paint to do this part, you could use wood stain. They have like a whitewashing wood stain. The only thing is I like to use the paint because it's not stinky. Sometimes the wood stains can be a little stinky, though I think that I'm trying to think. There's like, what brand is it? Minwax. Minwax has some good water-based ones that aren't so stinky. Like the oil-based ones are pretty stinky. So I'm down in my art studio, so I don't have great ventilation down here, so I tried to avoid the stinky stuff. All right, so we've got the whitewash on here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting in. So we're just going to kind of do, some little hills here. Let me show you the design again so you can see. So it's just kind of snowy. This could be like a little brook or something like that, or maybe you could do a little pond. So you can do a lot with this. So we're going to start putting in the white, and you can use the craft acrylic, but this time I would say don't thin it out this time. Okay, we want it to be on there a little thicker. So I'm going to just put a little craft acrylic on there, and I'm just going to grab a different brush. You could use the same flat brush, but that one's kind of soaking wet, and I'll just leave it. And then you're just going to come in here and kind of make a plan for where you want your hills and valleys. So I just like to take my brush and just go across here, so we could have something over here, and then maybe down in here we might have a little water coming through, and then up here, we'll bring a little hill. You can kind of do this any which way you want. Just make sure you have room at the top where we're going to put our words. It's going to say winter welcome. And for this one, I know I usually do my painted lettering, but for this one I'm cheating. I cut out the lettering on the Cricut because I wanted glitter. So it's always a little trickier to do, get the glitter look, and I really liked the way that looked. So we're going to do a little glitter. So you just kind of do sloping lines here. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just kind of fill it in first with white. And then I would also recommend, I didn't do it with mine, but I'll fix this later. So if you have a little sand paper or a little sanding block, you'll want to clean up those edges and things. But for today, I just want to show you the design. I'll give you all those finishing tips and touches. You can do that on your own. I don't think you need me to show you, or maybe you do. I don't know. All right, I'm going to pull in. I've just got some light blue here. You could use any shade of blue, really. I'm going to use the light blue for mine, and this is just Artist Loft, so whatever paint you have is fine. You can also use craft paint. If you have blue craft paint, that's fine too. This just happens to be what I had. And what I want to do is I want to create some highlights and shadows in my design here. So you can kind of see how I did this. I'm not going to do the bottom today with you, but You can wrap this around and paint all the edges and things like that on yours if you want to. So, but just for time purposes, I won't be doing that today, but I just want to let you know. So what we could do is we'll take a little bit of the white still on our brush, okay? And then just a touch of the blue. We don't want the blue to completely take over. We don't want like blue mountains, or maybe you do want blue mountains. A good way to check and see, ooh, I might have to retire this brush, the head's falling off. So this is kind of the blue we want. We want it to be kind of light like this, okay? Let it mix a little bit with that white. And then what you're gonna do is think about where your hills and valleys might be. So this is kind of like a shiny hill up here, and the tops of the hills, for those that don't have snow, the tops of the hills catch the light and they sparkle and shine, and then the shadowy part is down in the valleys. So I'm just kind of bringing some blue down in here, and we're going to bring this up here, just kind of stretch it. And we can always go back over the top of this and add more white when it's dry. So don't feel like if you get a ton of blue on there and you're like, oh no, I ruined it. You can always let it dry and go back and add white. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shadowing down in here. So you can kind of just come in here, add a little bit of blue here and there. Just kind of sweep it in, and then we'll add a little bit over on this side. Notice I'm keeping most of my blue down towards the bottom because the tops of the hills are what's going to catch the sunlight. That's going to be our sparkly part. So our shadowy part is more down here in the corners. Hopefully y'all can see that okay. I've got all my southern friends get me on y'all. I use that. I'm a Midwesterner. We don't say y'all, but I have so many friends from the South now. I'm picking up their slang in a good way. I'm just adding a little white in the top here. I still have some blue in my brush, but that's all right. With more white, it's going to be super duper duper light. Woo! There we go. I had like that paint's a little bit snotty. I hate when it does that. All right, there we go. We'll just blend it in. No problem. All right, we're going to do a river. So for the river, okay, so this is kind of cool. You know what I'm going to do? Let me zoom in on here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Let's see here. Let me zoom down to where we're going to add it. So I'm going to put it down here in our low spot. This is kind of our low spot here. All right, and we're just going to go in. I'm going to go in with some of this blue. And this time I have more blue in my brush. And I'm just going to go back and forth like this. So you just kind of go back and forth. And we get kind of a little stream here. So you kind of get where the snowbank is coming down. Can you see that okay? I still got to get better lighting in here. It's hard with this particular because it's so white. It kind of messes with the video quality anytime you got bright white. And I wore a white shirt. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyways, I was thinking snow. I wanted to coordinate with my painting today. All right, so there's our little river. And we could go in and add some other little details in here. We're going to add some more shadows and things like that. So very simple to just throw a little river in there. Now, let's let the snow dry a bit, and we'll come back. We're going to be doing some more shadows. And what you need next is a skinny liner brush or just a skinny round brush. So something like this, something tall and skinny. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of decide where we want to put some trees. So it's like Bob Ross, you know, we got to put in our happy trees. So I did like 2 on this side, and then I've got 3 over here. And normally, just for balance, it's better to do an odd number of trees. For some reason, if you do an even number, it looks, I don't know, not as natural. It's like you got to do the odd number. The color I'm using this time, I think the first time I did it, I just used black. You could use a dark brown. I'm using this Payne's Gray. It's by Master's Touch Acrylic. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, or you can order it from my website. I've linked Master's Touch paints to my website, the paintedtoad.com. Not just paintedtoad.com. So it's called Payne's Gray. Really all it is it's just kind of a dark gray. It almost looks black, but it's almost got a little bit of a blue to it, I guess. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. So first things first, we're just gonna decide where we want the trees. So I'm gonna put a line going up here. Don't worry if your line's not perfect. Make sure that you have enough paint on the brush. And then let's see, we'll put one here, a little tree right here. I usually make that one a little bit shorter. And then we could put a little tree right in here. We'll just kind of map out these trees. And you're going to love the way I'm going to show you how to paint this. I'm going to do one nice tall one over here. And this is really good practice. Like if you're nervous about using a liner brush or getting straight lines, or if your hands kind of shake, sometimes mine do. If I haven't if my blood sugar is low, my hands will kind of shake and it's hard to do. So it's good practice when doing these little trees like this because, I mean, look at that one. That's not perfect, okay? So it's just good practice to get used to using that brush. All right, you're going to love this. At least I love this method for making trees. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to use a flat brush. And let me get, let's see here. I'm going to get kind of a medium size. I think this one will work. Sometimes you want a little bit smaller to work at the top, but I can kind of work around that. Let me see. Let me use a little bit smaller one. And then we've got our little trees here. And watch what I do. I'm just going to take, and I'm going on the edge of the flat brush, okay? So not, usually we use a flat brush and we use the wide stroke, but I'm going on the edge. And we're just going to kind of go back and forth here. And this would be really pretty, like if you wanted to do like, oh, maybe I'll have to do one for the summer with like a lake and a sunrise with a silhouette of the tree. So that would be really cool. So I'm gonna have to fold that, save that idea. And then you just kind of go back and forth like this. What do you think? Does that look easy? Or does that freak people out? It's just back and forth, back and forth. And don't worry about filling all this in. We're going to add snow. All right. And then we're just going to keep building these trees. It is very relaxing. This is why Bob Ross painted Happy Little Tree, because it's very relaxing to just kind of get that in there and paint it. It's fun. All right, let me move this over and make sure y'all can see it. We're going to do our two little trees on this side. Near, near, near. And it's really just so fast here. We just go back and forth, back and forth. Do, 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 do. And once we get the trees in here, I'm going to show you how to do some shadows, because anytime we have something on the snow, it's going to cast a little shadow, okay? The reason why I did the whitewashed winter sky is because this is how it looks most of the time in Michigan. It is gray and white, and today it's blue though. We got the sun out today, but this is my winter sky. This is what I'm used to. Clouds, not a lot going on up there. That's the way we didn't do blue, and it's good to get away from blue skies all the time. I like to do something a little different. I'm going to bring this one kind of wide and bring it off a little bit. There we go. Do, do, do. There we are. Okay, so all of our little trees are done. Let's let those dry. We got more to do on the trees, but I need them to dry. You don't want to put snow on your trees while the dark color is still on there, because if you do that, then you're going to end up with a bunch of dirty snow on your trees. So we don't want that to happen. And I almost think I could probably make a couple of these wider. We'll see. But let's add a little bit of shadow. So I'm going to add a little shadow under the trees here, and we're going to pretend that the sun is kind of up high in the sky, maybe peeking like behind the clouds, so it's not real bright. And we're going to get a little shadow here under our trees. I'm going to switch my brush just because that other one was kind of dirty. And we've got the blue and the white, and I wanted to add a little bit of this Payne's gray just to get a darker shadow. But here's the thing, you can't add a lot. If you add too much, what's going to happen is it's going to take over because it's such a dark color. So we always take the dark color and mix it into the lighter color. It's always easier to mix that way, at least in my experience. It just seems to work better that way. So I've got a little bit of white on here, and then I'm going to take, let's just use my little palette knife here. I'm going to take some blue here, or actually, let's do this. Let's take a little blue aside. Let's see if we can get a different shade of this blue. So I'm just going to take a teeny tiny bit. That's even too much, okay? So I'm going to make most of that. Let me get most of that off. And then I'm going to put it in here with my blue. And you might say, well, that didn't make hardly a difference at all. And if it didn't, I can add more, but you can't take it away. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this Payne's gray. And normally if you want to do a shade, you could add a little black. Let's say you didn't have the Payne's gray and you wanted to make a different shade here. Just add a little tiny little bit of black. But like I said, it will take over everything. Okay, so you have to be very sparing when you do that. And a lot of times when I do the shades, I won't just take the black and put it in there and mix like I did in the beginning there with the white and the blue. It's better to mix it separate because, like, yeah, it'll just take over. Well, it's a little darker. I think we could go a touch darker. Just add a little bit, little bit, little bit. Yeah, now it's starting to look a little bit like a blue-gray. A little blue-gray here. So this is just going to give some variety to our shadow. There we go. Can you see the difference on that? Let me see if I hold it up if you can see the difference in the shades. See? It's a little more almost like a blue-gray. So that gives us a little bit of blue-gray. Okay. I think that's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to use that, and I didn't make very much. You really don't need very much for this one because we're not doing a gigantic canvas here. We're just doing this little bitty thing. We're going to take some white paint here, and I first like to get this a little wet. So I'm going to go under my trees, and I want you to keep in mind the shape of the tree. So we're going to pretend that the shadows kind of go in this way a little bit. So we'll just kind of get a little white under there. And then I'm going to go in with my light blue a little bit. And then just sparingly here with the shade I just made. So just kind of that dark blue. We'll bring that down in there. You don't really want to do black shadows under these trees because that's not how it would look in the snow. And then our shadows are just going to kind of stretch in this direction, okay? And we're going to stretch them out. There we go. Yeah, you never want to, especially with the snow, you don't want it to, if you just did a big black shadow, it would look weird. Snow does not have black shadows. There's too much water in snow. I mean, it is water, you know, and if you feel like it needs to be a little darker, go ahead and add a little bit more, or just kind of go with your own feelings there. Oop, I pulled a little bit of the tree there into it. Whoopsies. All right, we'll get this other one over here. Notice I'm just kind of going back and forth, being a little bit messy here, just kind of zigzagging my brush here. Okay, and after I do, like, I'm doing the lighter color, and then I'll go back in and dip in my white, and I'll just kind of bring some in on the edges. Okay, so that just kind of blends it all in, so it all kind of goes. See how I got those nice little shadows there? So I'm going to come in with my darker shade of the blue. Kind of come in here, just kind of go ziggy-zaggy, ziggy-zaggy. And the way that shadows work is the darkest part of the shadow is always going to be under the object or thing or whatever it happens to be. Okay, so that's going to be the darkest part under our trees. And then just bring some white in here on these edges and just kind of blend it in a little. See, I'm just kind of going back and forth and just letting all that smoosh together. Smooshing is definitely a highly professional painting term. Not. We're blending, that's what we're doing. We just kind of blend it, pull it out. And sometimes I'll just take and just kind of pull this out a little bit. You just got to have fun with it. Have fun with it. Let's bring a little white here. I'm going to kind of bring that hill and let that swoop in a little bit better. There we go. See how I did that? So it kind of swoops down there towards the trees. And then we could take a little bit of this blue here. Let's add a little bit to our water so we have some variations in our watercolor. So I'm just taking some of this darker, kind of bringing it up on the edges of here. And I'm just going to go across a little bit with it, just so we have some variation in the color of our water. There we are. And then you can go back over it with the light blue if you want to add a little. Or if it's looking too dark, go on in and dip in your white. And then pull a little white in there. If you want it to look a little icy, like maybe it's frozen on top, you can take a little bit of that white and kind of bring it across. Just like that. All right, I'm going to rinse this out really quick. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did before. You're going to take a flat brush. I'll get a small one again. And we're going to take our white paint now, and you're just going to go back and forth over the tops of these to add a little snow. And I go thicker with the white because it is snow. And you kind of want it to set on top of the branches a little bit, like it's stuck on there. And I just realized in my original, I did green underneath. So if you wanted to add a little bit of green under there, you could, but you really don't have to. As long as you have the white snow on there, I think it'll turn out really pretty. We'll just kind of go across like this. Go in and fill. If your gray, like I said, or your black or whatever your undercolor is still wet, just be cautious. You might just want to wait till it dries. Let me grab a little bit more white here. I'm just going back and forth. Once again, I'm using the edge of the flat brush here just to fill in the snow. Now, since we're doing all this stuff with light and shadow, keep in mind that you can add a little bit of that blue into your trees as well. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the blue in here with the white, and we'll just add a little bit of shadowing kind of in here. You could also use your little your other little tone here if you wanted. That's kind of a pretty one. I kind of like that color, that blue gray that we made. It's kind of pretty. I'm just going to add it in. Like you could do the blue gray kind of towards the bottom where it would be a little darker, and then the light blue up towards the top where maybe the sun might be catching it, so it'll be a little bit brighter up there. We add a little blue. I don't know, maybe blue trees would look kind of cool. It's all up to you what you think you like. There we go. All right. Okay, so we got our snow in, and we could go back and add more stuff. I'm not going to just because I want to kind of show you all my little tricks here on this one. This is my ultimate favorite trick. Snow in a bottle. This is glitter glue. You could also use glitter paint. I love the glue, personally. And I am just going to take and add this over my snow. And then I just take kind of a, you know, an oldish, not fancy, don't use your best flat brushes on here, and just paint it over. This is what really makes this piece, because this is what the snow does. It glitters, and it is so gorgeous. Did you see what I did there? We're just gonna leave it. No worries. See, that Payne's gray is just not drying for me today. Did you see how I pulled that in? But I'm just gonna leave it. It still looks like the shadow, so it's no big deal. Don't ever freak out if you do something like that. I never do. This is acrylic paint. We can always paint over it. Okay? All right. Let's bring a little bit. You can bring a little bit of this down into your water. We'll spread, spread, spread. There we go. And then let's spread it over on this side. You can also put the glitter glue on your palette and add it just like you would paint. I'm being kind of lazy. I just throw it on there and then I just spread it all over. That way you get a nice sparkly coat on here. There we are. And it does help to make sure your paint's dry, because sometimes the glitter glue will mix in with the paint and it can be a little frustrating then when it's not doing what you want it to do. Pull a little bit of this. You can kind of go back and forth over your water. Make that glisten too. Can't have too much glisten. I'm just going to smooth this out. My brush is kind of small here. I like to get messy, so there we are. Smooth out those ridges. Okay. All right, here's my other glitter glue trick. And what you're going to do is just take your glitter glue nozzle and go right back and forth and just kind of zigzag. And this will eventually evaporate, but it adds a little bit of a raised texture. I just put it on there nice and thick, and I let it dry right on there, just like that. Okay. I don't know if you can really see that in the light, but yep, you just take it and it's almost like drawing it on, just a little bit here. I just kind of go back and forth, add some glistening. And yeah, like I said, it'll dry out, so it won't be super tall once the moisture in the glue evaporates, but it'll still have kind of a cool texture. And let's come in here. So I'm just using glitter glue and adding some to my other two trees here. I just go back and forth and I just squeeze it right on there, not even going to spread it out. I just squeeze it and leave it raised just like that. And then we're going to add, I like to add some fun snow in the background. So we'll add a little bit of that. And then I'm going to show you how to add the vinyl transfer here that I've cut out on my Cricut. For the snow part, there's a couple different ways you can do this. I'm actually going to just add some sprinkling with a wood skewer. You could do this with a toothpick. So I'm just going in and adding little dots all over. And this is it's like lightly snowing on my little winter scene here. And I like to use a skewer instead of a paintbrush because sometimes you can't get the paintbrush to do what you want. Sometimes it's too soft and then you get like a big blob and a little blob. So a wood skewer or a toothpick or the end of your paintbrush gets you a much more consistent dot. All right, so the last step here, I'm going to dry this. The last step is going to be to add our vinyl cut sign. And you don't have to do vinyl cut. You could totally use a stencil and stuff on here to do your welcome sign. Let me just dry this so my little snowflake dots don't smoosh all over when I'm trying to put the sign on there. All right, so The sign is Welcome Winter. And whenever you're working with this vinyl, so this is Cricut. This was I got this, it was a glitter sampler. So they had a couple different glitters in there. And I will tell you, it was by Cricut brand. It is very thin. I will be honest, Cricut brand vinyl is not always my favorite. I just had this on hand, so it's a little tricky to work with. I would maybe recommend trying another brand, and I probably will too, because sometimes it just doesn't do what you want it to do. So I pre-cut this on my Cricut machine, and then in order to do this, this is permanent vinyl. So in order to get this to work, you need something called transfer tape. Okay, and the transfer tape is what's going to pick up the whole image. Now, sometimes with this, you know what, let me set this aside so I can kind of show you. I'm just afraid I'm going to like smoosh everything in my glitter glue. So sometimes the transfer tape, when it has this glittery surface, it's a little touchy and it doesn't want to pick it up. So we'll see. You can watch me struggle and then you'll know the truth of it. That is the one downside to using vinyl instead of painting your own. But I wanted it to be glittery. So you could paint it on. So we're going to put the sticky side down here. And we're just going to put it, oop, I got a bump there. Hold on. Now, what it's supposed to do, and what seems to be troublesome sometimes with the glitter vinyl, is this transfer tape is supposed to stick to your words and pick them up off of the backing here, okay? Because it's like a sticker. Trouble is sometimes with the glitter, it just doesn't want to pick it up. So we're going to try. We'll see how it works. Sometimes I have to like fuss with it. And I remember this happening last time when I did my original. It was kind of being a pain in the butt. And it's a little trickier. We'll see if it works. With the thin, what am I trying to say? The thinner vinyl here, the lettering, because I got these skinny little letters here. So that can make it tricky too. Yeah, this happened last time. I'm having flashbacks of my first project. See, it doesn't even want to stick. And I'm just going to kind of work it by hand here. So this can be a little touch and go. I'll just work it by hand. And this is so thin too, it wants to tear easily. So when I had to peel away the excess, I had to be very careful because it's just kind of a fussy vinyl to work with. I almost might suggest trying like Sizer brand or something because I feel like I have more luck with their vinyl than I've had with Cricut. The heat transfer in Cricut I don't like, and this stuff has been kind of a pain. All right, this is going to be a little bit trickier. I wish that transfer tape would work. All right, we're going to put that right there. Let's start with this W instead. And then when my Cricut, like it cut some of these pieces. I don't know why it was kind of funky. See how this one is coming apart? It was only on the W that it did that, so I don't know what the deal was. I'm going to bring that down here. Let me check my sample and see if I need to bring it up. No, it was about right there is where I had it. And then this little part, for whatever reason, it cut this W separate, but the rest of them are fine. So I'm just going to piece it together. There we go. And then we'll bring this here. This little piece I had to cut because it didn't even, like my Cricut machine didn't even cut that little strip. Like it just randomly wasn't there at all. So, just been one of those projects. Okay. See, I make the painting part look easy. That is the easy part. It's the darn vinyl that's the hard part. Especially if it won't stick to your, it really needs to stick to the transfer tape. So maybe I just need different transfer tape. That could be too. All right, let's do this. We're gonna kind of get it to go on here where I want it. There we are, and we'll just kind of gently work it so that it's coming off the sticker. Sorry if y'all can't see that, but I'm trying to get it to lay down where I want it to. And there we are. Oop, getting some glitter glue on me. Almost done. Do you like seeing me struggle here? This is the truth though. I mean, not everything's gonna work out perfect, but you just gotta keep with it. Don't get frustrated. I could get frustrated right now, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna keep working at it till I get it the way I want, because I am a perfectionist and we gotta get it right, correct? There we are. I think, I don't want to be too excited here, but I think I got the W where I want it. What do you think? I think that's going to be good. Okay, I think we got it in the right place now. Now the question is, we'll be able to fit the rest of it. We could just put welcome W. There we go. It's coming. I do like the blue. I like it better than the silvery one I did originally. It pops better. I always felt like the silver just wasn't showing up. All right, let's see if we can do this winter part. I'm gonna trim this part off here since we're gonna have to piecemeal it. It's a little challenging. Okay. So let's just kind of lay it down, because if I get too much of this off of here, it's gonna be kind of crazy. So I'm just gonna kind of lay it down and work my way. And I'm doing winter on an angle here. So WI, let's get the N in there. We'll do piece by piece. This is what you do when your transfer tape doesn't work and your glitter vinyl is being fussy. I really, really hope that this winter fits in here, otherwise I'm gonna have to move the whole word again. Who wants to cast bets? You think I'm gonna have to move the whole word again? Get in there, what do you think? Think it's gonna work? Can you tell? Or you think I'm gonna hit a tree? I might hit a tree here. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Let's bring this T in here. T for tree. T for two. Two for T. Ooh, ooh, we're very, very close. Very close. I think I'm gonna make it. I don't want to be too optimistic here, but I think we're gonna make it. Alrighty. I can't tell you how much that excites me that I do not have to try and reposition the winter word. I think it is going to work. There we are. Yay! Look at that! Woohoo! Woo! All right. I think my anxiety level's up to here. All right, don't forget our little dot here. There! Yay. Okay. So, what have we learned? I still don't like the Cricut glitter vinyl. It does look pretty though. It does look pretty. But I would probably use another brand, or I don't know, maybe I just need another brand of the transfer tape. It is definitely easier if you can use transfer tape with that, but it does look lovely when you get it on there. I think, can you see the whole thing here? I think so. Let me show you, put some brushes under there. So let me show you my original. So here's the original versus, it was a little bit wider. A little bit wider. Let me get rid of my screen there. There we go. I like the blue. I feel like the blue is really standing out. So I'm happy with that. I think it looks gorgeous. Very, very happy with how this turned out. All right, so this is Rose from the Painted Toad with another anxious session of trying to get vinyl onto a wood sign. No, I'm teasing. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching the end product here, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to remind you to be creative, be artistic, get connected at the painted toe. Connect with me. I'll see you later.